Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you a monthly recommendations video. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group that's hosted by Kayla Rain and Trina from Between Chapters. I will link both the Goodreads group and their channels down below so that if you're interested you can check out the topics and join us next time. This month's topic is oldies, so books that you've enjoyed that were published before 2010. Last week I did a Top 5 Wednesday, which was of books that I enjoyed prior to joining the online book community. And so to make this topic even more different from that one than it already is, I specifically chose books that I have read since joining the online book community, so post December 2014, but were published in or before 2010. While I have been making an effort to read more backlist books, I've mostly been making an effort to read backlist books as in ones that were published prior to 2017. But don't worry, I was able to find 5 that I wanted to recommend to you guys. So the first book slash series I'm going to talk about, I am enjoying right now. I am reading the 3rd book in the series right now and really enjoying it. And this series is a 7 Realms series. The first book is The Demon King. This is by Cinda Chima. Only the first 2 books in the series were published in this time range, so the first book was published in 2009 and the second book in 2010. It's a young adult high fantasy series that centers around 2 main characters. One is the princess Raisa, and the other main character is a little bit of a bad boy named Hans Alistair. And the series is kind of about how their 2 paths cross and all the things that happen. So it's a longer series. It's a 4-book series, I think, and I'm currently in the 3rd book and really enjoying it. The world building's fantastic. There's a solid magic system. The characters are probably my favorite part. It has a pretty big cast of characters, even though you're only seeing the story from 2 points of view. There's a lot of diversity in this book, including cultural diversity and sexual diversity, and there's people with different disabilities. There's a lot of feminist aspects to this series as well. There's a lot going on. I love everything about it. It's really good, and if you really like high fantasy, you should definitely check out the series if you haven't yet. The second book that I'm going to talk about is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This was published in 2008, and it's the first book in the Chaos Walking trilogy. When I read this series, it totally blew me away. I fell in love with Patrick Ness because of this series. The first book can be a little bit hard to get into because there's a lot of jargon in the first book because the main character can't read or write, so a lot of his thoughts are written phonetically. But as far as the series as a whole, I just think it's amazing. Patrick Ness is able to infuse these really complex ideas into this series that are kind of really big picture things that make me think a lot. I know I'm being really vague, but he presents these really big concepts but ties them into the plot so well. So you have this plot that is kind of superficial, but at the same time there's these bigger, more abstract ideas that are being explored through this plot. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but basically I really love this trilogy and I think that it is a lot bigger than just the story itself, and that's part of the reason why I really enjoyed it. The 3rd book on my list is a little bit of a surprise because it's actually contemporary. It is definitely my favorite contemporary that I've read so far. For those of you who've been on my channel for a while, you know that I don't really read a lot of contemporary books. It's just generally not the genre that I reach for. I don't reach for them because I feel like a lot of times there's just not enough to contemporaries to keep me interested. I don't like it when a love story is the main plot of a book. I need more to a book than just a love story. I need more to be going on, and so I don't usually reach for contemporaries. Often they're just kind of mediocre for me. Anyways, this contemporary blew me away, and that is why I made it to this list. And that book is going to be Saving Francesca by Melina Marchetta. Saving Francesca is about a girl and her mom is going through a really deep depression, and it's kind of about how she deals with her mom going through this depression. This book is very family-centered. I really love the family relationships that are portrayed in this book, both between siblings, but also between Francesca and her dad, and also Francesca and her mom, and the relationship portrayed between Francesca's dad and her mom as he's taking care of her. The whole family is just going through this depression with the mother. This book was really emotional for me as someone who has dealt with depression myself and have had family members dealing with depression. This book made me cry so much. It was really emotional and pulled at my heartstrings and made a lasting impression on me. I haven't read any more of Melina Marchetta's contemporary, but I really want to. I love that romance was either not a part of this book or not a strong part of this book, because I don't even remember if there was a romance. It's really just about Francesca and how she is going through this time in her life with her family. I loved it. So I would definitely recommend this as a contemporary for people who don't always like contemporary. The fourth book I'm going to talk about is The Monstrumologist, which was published in 2009. This book is by Yancey. It's the first book in the Monstrumologist series. I've read the first two books in this series, and I'm kind of reading one every October as part of like my October theme, and I've really enjoyed it so far. It is a historical fantasy, so it's set in kind of like the colonial time period in the US, but it has this monster element to it. So basically there is this monstrumologist who his profession is to study monsters. It's kind of part of like the secret underworld that the average person isn't aware of. Anyways, the book is about this monstrumologist, but it's told from the point of view, well, the first one is when he was 12, and I think the next one is when he's a little bit older, but it's told through journal entries from this kid's point of view because he is the monstrumologist's apprentice. This book is definitely really vivid and gruesome. It wasn't like jumpy scary or like a thriller kind of scary. It's more of a horror type of scary, and some of the images that were put into my head from this book stuck around for a really long time, and each book definitely stands as its own entity within the series, which makes it really easy for me to just read one a year. The next book I'm going to talk about is Matched by Allie Condie. Matched was published in 2010 and is the first book in the Matched trilogy. I think Matched actually has sort of a bad rap here on BookTube or in the YA community. I think a lot of people didn't like it, but I read this book right when I joined the book community. It's one of the first book reviews I did on my blog, and I really enjoyed it. When I found out that it kind of had this bad reputation, I was surprised because I really loved the whole series. It is a dystopian, and I am someone who's not tired of dystopian. I still really love reading dystopian stories, and this one was unique to me when I read it. But basically, Matched is about this dystopian society where all of the kids, when they turn 16, are matched up with another person to be their mate, and this is based on some sort of matching algorithm through computers because the government basically knows like everything about you, so they are supposed to match you with someone that you're really compatible with. In this society, they're also no longer allowed to like create things and be creative, so there's no literature or like books being written, there's no poetry, there's no music, so a lot of like arts have been done away with, and they kind of like limited all of the written things to things that were necessary and served a purpose. So anything that didn't serve a purpose, they got rid of. And that was an idea that I thought was really interesting, and I enjoyed exploring that concept throughout this series. I wanted to include Matched in this recommendations video because I feel like not a lot of people talk about it, and when it is talked about, it's talked about in more of a negative light. So I just wanted to put out there that I really liked the series, and if you're kind of on the fence about it, maybe give it a shot with an open mind because you might be surprised by it. Hey Bookworm, so those are all the oldies recommendations that I have for you today. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video, leave me some comments down below and let me know what you thought of them. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more bookish content. Until next time, Bookworms, keep reading. Bye! Recommendations is host month. The world building's fantastic. Patrick Ness is able to like roll the loves when a love boo, or you know, it doesn't have ghosts. It wasn't scary. It wasn't like boo scary, or it wasn't bye.